Hulk Hogan was a god to the gay community. When Hulk would play with the WWF at the Cow Palace would be, filled with gay men there yelling the Hulkster on.
Welcome, everybody. It's another exciting edition of the Sports Hole. I'm your host, Luke. With me, as always, XFL Jim, Rock and Roll Matty Goldberg. And if you're watching at home, you can see I'm wearing stupid glasses because I had a glaucoma test, and now I look like I'm a future cyborg.
How long do you have to have the glasses on for?
I don't technically have to have them on, but I see light so crazy right now that I'm just wearing them. Probably by the end of the show.
Especially looking at a screen, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little before XFL Jim's time, but it looks like there's a time in the 80s and early 90s you go to the movies and it was a 3D movie.
Yeah.
And you would get glasses like that.
Man, they do 3D movies now.
Well, I guess.
They have similar glasses still to this day. Maddie doesn't get out much. So.
No, I just figured.
I've tried to get Maddie to movies all the time. He will never leave his frickin' house unless there's a potential female involved.
I just saw Civil War this weekend.
I did too.
There's a couple things I'll go to, and that's it.
Concerts,
and there's only a couple bands.
Would you go to comedy shows?
No, only if I'm performing.
Okay.
I will not see a comedy show unless I'm in it. I am going to Hackamania in Vegas, though.
That's the Stuttering John universe.
Yeah. It's like, it's funny. The guy who ran it, he's like, everybody's complaining about how I booked it. He's like, it's called Hackamania. Bill Burr's not on it for a reason. Meaning it's going to be the worst of the worst.
Maddie, I feel like, I don't know how much free time you have. You should do like a 30 for 30 style documentary on the Stuttering John universe.
Well, it's funny. He's talked about this too.
I feel like he'd be the perfect guy for it.
Yeah, I have this idea of the trailer because these guys are so evil. Like they literally, like, Jim, let's say you have a rival. They will find out who your girlfriend is. They will put a picture of her behind here, and then they will find out where she works, and they will tell everybody where she works. So people will be texting her and stuff like that. It is an evil place. And I just like have an end of the trailer like of the world and like Stuttering John being like, you go after my kids. This is your mother. This is her. This is your wife, your ex-wife. It's insane what they do to each other. They put up each other's like their girlfriend's LinkedIn. This one guy quit completely.
Maddie's trying to just be an observer and not be involved.
Yeah, people are like, you got to get in this world. I'm like, I'm too sensitive. Like one negative comment. These guys get thousands of negative comments every day.
Maddie's like,
including me.
Aren't comedians supposed to have really thick skin?
No. I'm not going to tell you what my names are on, I have two fake YouTube names.
Two burners?
Yeah.
I know one of them.
Luke, you better shut your fucking mouth.
What is it? How much? What does it mean to you? How much? What's in it for me?
$20.
I'll take it. I need it. Jim, what did you think of Civil War?
I thought it was, so I had no idea that it was following like reporters.
Yeah.
From the trailer. So
Was
that
it
caught
good?
me. That caught me off guard. There's a couple things I really loved about it. Did not really like the ending.
Really?
Like it just kind of felt Like it
What
felt.
side
I liked it.
would you
I
be
think
on?
it epitomized the movie. But go on with your review.
But I love the sound design. My favorite part of the movie was the sound design, hands down. It was like one of the best
Interesting.
sounding movies I've ever seen.
Can I ask, like, is this basically what's going on with, like, the MAGA people?
No. It's actually like, it's surprisingly non-political.
Here,
I thought.
I'll say
I thought so.
what I think it is
Yeah.
you don't know whose side believes in what in this.
Yeah.
Okay.
You do see what I do picture though is that fever between the 2019 or whenever the 2020 protests / riots and January 6th, the faces you see on some of these people.
Yeah.
That's the feeling you have in the background of this movie. Like that's the feeling where if you could get America divided over something and it spread and it stuck with people, that this could happen. I think it's just a journey. So basically you're following reporters' journey from New York to Washington, D.C., and they're going through these territories, and there's places where like, gas is super hard
Sounds
to
like
come
you
by.
loved it.
And everyone is fucking, I liked it.
They had to buy it with like Canadian dollars because the US dollar's worth so little.
Right. Yeah. So to me, it was a feeling like if what happened in the first few weeks of COVID, the way everybody was out of supplies and things like that, and there's people with guns everywhere, like you just kind of feel like that is what's going on. And I thought it was great that he didn't tip his hand as to what any side was, who was on what side, or who was right or who was wrong. And I thought it was cool. I thought it was just an idea of what this country could
Is
look
there any
like based on.
stars? Is there any like people I know like stars?
Well,
Like
Kirsten Dunst is the lead
okay,
reporter. Her husband Jesse Plemons is in it for a little bit, and he's just awesome. I love that guy. He's one of my
yeah,
favorite
he's an
actors.
interesting
really-
actor.
He steals the show in like almost anything he's in. Dude.
He really does. He's
He was
terrific.
great in Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
That's what I know him from.
no, he's a great actor, no, hands down. Especially for generations, we've been lacking character actors for a while, and he's just got to be number one. And as far as someone that can sort of
I think,
potentially
yeah.
fill the Philip Seymour Hoffman role.
Yeah, I was
at
about
some
to say
point,
he's the best of all time. Like he's the greatest character actor of all
No,
time.
Seymour Hoffman's the GOAT.
Fact.
He can
He
play
was
it.
amazing.
But I'm glad you guys saw a movie. Like
I also saw Dune 2.
I saw
Wow,
that a
you
couple
love-
weeks
I'm
ago.
a little late to the game, but I
Saw that a
love
couple
that
weeks
movie
ago.
too.
Really
It was
loved Dune
great.
2.
The
I
cinematography
don't really
was
find
outstanding.
it. When I was a kid, I liked going to the movies, but like I like being home.
Man,
I like-
Yeah,
you know what I
man, you're
used-
agoraphobic. That's what you are.
what I used to love doing was going to movies by myself.
I still do that. That's why I
love
watched
doing
Civil War.
that.
Yeah.
No, it's so awesome, Maddie. It's
You guys
so
are
awesome.
losers.
It's so awesome.
Losers.
What else did I
feeling.
see? I think I went to a third movie the other night too. and
I saw the old.
I saw Monkey Man.
I saw something. The Omen, whatever.
So I
How
saw
was it?
movie. Actually, not it was gross.
I'm a
It was-
huge fan of the original trilogy.
So this is
Yes.
a prequel one to like the original.
Right. Which they've done a few knockoffs or reboot kind of things.
This is like a
too.
before the first movie deal, like right
Right.
before. It was gross. It wasn't like it wasn't super jump scary,
Yeah.
which I appreciated. It was more like gross, satanic, and like generally creepy. I thought it was fine. I thought it was pretty
Yeah.
good.
Monkey Man.
Monkey Man,
That's Shyamalan's
I thought it was
movie,
great.
ain't
It was like it
Okay.
was like an Indian
I don't know.
John
I
Wick.
don't know. I don't know any.
Very
movies.
similar style as far as the action goes to John Wick. The story was interesting too. It's like the Slumdog Millionaire guy, Dev Patel.
You know a movie I watched last night?
What'd you watch, Maddie?
Did you ever hear The Departed?
Yeah, I've heard of it, Maddie.
Yeah, I watched that last night. It was good.
Really?
Yeah.
Who won? Was Captain America in that one? Was it?
Was he?
No, I don't know.
It's a
Fuck
good
those
Boston movie.
By the way, I'll say this about Dune 2 as well. Like if you put in the same pantheon as like some of these Marvel movies, it just destroys all of them. It's
Oh, it kicks
just-
the shit out of it.
it's done with so much more care and way better storylines.
That's my
and-
boy. That's one of my favorite directors working right now.
Wait,
Yeah,
that's
he's
my
great.
boy. I love
Yeah.
That's My Boy with Adam
Denis-
Sandler.
Denis Villeneuve is one of my favorite directors right now.
Are you talking about the Adam Sandler movie with That's My Boy? That was great. Rex
Oh, we got a
Ryan was
smart
in it.
ass over here. Smart ass.
Rex
Larry.
Ryan was hysterical in it. He had a part where he
Rex
has to-
Ryan was in that movie.
Yeah, he pretends he loves Tom Brady. He's like, look at that jawline. He's so handsome. It's great. That's when he was coach of the Jets too. It's pretty funny.
Oh boy. Well, we got a great show today for you. Dark Side of the Ring, Chris Colt. This might be my favorite Dark Side.
You
I
know,
will
it's cool.
say
I
that
never. Yeah,
as for someone I've never heard of.
me too.
It's like this guy was like, I don't know. He was borderline like the gay Gigi Allen of wrestling. He was just a fucking nut
Mhm.
and did it all. And almost nobody's heard of him. I mean, I've never heard his name.
I had never heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never heard
Maddie,
of
you're a
him
big
either.
wrestling head.
Never
You've
heard
never
of him. I know them all.
Basically, he was just big in the territories, but then he also kept burning bridges in every territory because he
You
was
know what
so
I was
over the
thinking?
top.
I think Vince stole Adrian Adorable Adonis from Chris Cole.
I could see
Like,
that.
like
I
he
could see
took what
that for
Chris
sure.
Cole did, and they're like, let's bring it here.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, for sure. We'll get to that. A lot of great clips in that. Jim Cornette's in it, and if you believe it or not, he doesn't even have. We do have some clips from him, but there's other people with a lot of other great clips. This was just an amazing story.
Mhm.
This week, though, right
Chris
after
Adams.
what's that?
Next week is Chris Adams.
Oh, I remember him. I do remember him. He was
Yeah,
part. He was like
he
married to
punched
Von
a.
Erich's sister, right?
I'll just say this: he punched a pilot. I think.
While he was flying.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
the pilot came out. He was like drinking was a demon for him.
Ay.
He was
All
also
right.
tag team partners with Gino Hernandez from the first season. Remember Gino?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. Okay, so I guess we'll start this week with the tragic death of Mr. Orenthal James Simpson.
Did
I don't
he
know if you knew
die?
this.
Did he die before, like
XFL
after
Jim.
we recorded last week?
Yeah, it was like the next day. I was
You
pissed.
might be a little
That's
before your
so
time,
brutal.
but he was a running back.
Yeah,
Maddie, I
sorry
know.
for everybody that I posted as RIP OJ.
What do you think of people
We
like
didn't cover it at all.
what do you think of like the Heisman Trophy would give him like a real like rest in peace OJ? Like it's a
Did they?
little weird.
Did they do
I
that?
Yeah,
I think that's dumb as shit.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
feel like just don't say anything.
Here's my thing. I know he's a murderer and he murdered two people and he's a
Yes.
That's a
horrific
great
human
way to
being.
start. Great way to start.
But I also let the dead rest. Like once you die, I let you rest. I let God or Satan judge
Well,
you.
OJ didn't let Nicole Brown Simpson rest,
No, he did not. Did you
yelling
know
at
he
her
used to?
grave.
Yeah, he used to go to her grave and yell at her.
What you could say about OJ is that he was a way better football player than person.
What I can also say is that ESPN did a 5-part documentary, which is one of their best 30s for 30s. It's so in depth about who he is, how he grew up, how he became who he became, how he changed. One of the most interesting things his manager said that's so poignant because OJ was a huge narcissist is what hurt him the most was when everybody forgot about him. Like being on trial was still energy for him because everybody was talking about him. But when he got off and he was just living in Florida and he was just kind of shunned, that's
Right.
when he hurt the most. And that's just so it's so weird. It's
Did you
just
see those clips of where he's like fake stabbing that reporter and everything?
Yes.
Like that was I don't remember that at all. That was
the other thing
nuts.
about it too is
That's crazy.
I'll never forget it. 1994, I was a senior in high school. I wake up. This is like June. My mom goes, something horrible happened. And I go, what? I'm waking up for school. She's like, OJ Simpson's wife was killed and they think OJ did it. And my first thought was, no fucking way. Because when he
Wait
was
a minute,
on
they didn't think he
TV,
did it right away though.
no, they did.
I don't
There
remember
was
that.
no other suspect. It
Well,
wasn't
I
like
mean,
he totally did it. They were just like, they think he might have done it. That was what my mom said.
okay.
I
I
remember,
remember hearing about it, and then a
yeah,
week later, it started to sort of like pick up steam. Like, oh no, this guy's going
well,
down.
he was so loved on television. He
He
was like
was.
this. He was a sweet guy that
Is there
was like
anybody comparable to him nowadays that's just that well
became a
liked?
monster.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
It'd be almost like if Gronk did.
See,
You
even like
like
P Diddy, P Diddy's always been known as like kind of hard, kind of. So
right.
like that's not really a surprise. Maybe Jared Fogle from Subway was a
No,
little.
I'm saying as far as like someone where the last person someone you've grown to just love through being in in media that was an
Yeah,
athlete, you know.
Gronk's up there.
yeah. I mean, I remember OJ went to his when there was Desert Storm on Thanksgiving. He went to the Middle East for halftime, and he was like talking to all the troops. And you're just watching. You're like, OJ's a great guy, and he always had this sad Buffalo thing because he'd pick them every year to win the Super Bowl, and they get
Yeah.
crushed, and he would always be sad about it. And you're just like, oh, poor OJ. And then he was kind of the goofball in
Then he was in the Naked Gun.
Naked Gun movies, where he was kind of the comic relief of always getting hurt.
Oh, that was the best. That
Yeah,
really was the
Nordberg.
best. I'm sure a
And he
lot of
was-
people have been seeing a lot of these clips from OJ,
Yeah.
and it was like nuts. It was weird though, because all those troops he entertained were like, he's a great guy, but all he wanted to talk about was stabbing techniques.
Well, I don't think that made television, but it could have. But he lived a double life, and he obviously was. I'll tell you another really funny story about it that relates to the band Rat.
Okay.
Please.
This is how psycho OJ is, and not many people know this story because I read Stephen Percy's autobiography, which probably I'm one of the few people in the world. Maybe me and Earl Skakel are the only people that have read his book. But Robin Crosby he died of AIDS. I don't know if you knew that. He was the guitarist in Rat, and he was a great baseball player. He was like 6'4", probably he was a massive dude. And his high school girlfriend, sweetheart, was Tawny Katane. I'm sure you guys know from the White Snake video.
Sure.
I hope even Jim knows that. You're
Yes, I do, Matty.
And she beat up Chuck Finley.
She did get arrested. So they were off and on. And then she started dating OJ. And he was getting very possessive. And he was like seeing her off and on with OJ. And OJ confronted him. And this is Robin Crosby in Rat, known as the King. Yeah. Never talked to Tawny Katane ever again after that. Scared the shit out of him.
Wow.
That's OJ.
It's funny too, because it's like, I'm sure you guys have been confronted by these people. Like, even if you think you can take them in a fight, like there's a look in their eye where you're like, this person will not rest until they kill me, even if I beat them up in a fight. They will come back.
And you got to know, like, this is his high school sweetheart.
Right.
Like, they have this bond that whether they get married or not, they're probably going to be friends and love for each other forever. Right. And that was it. And he says in the book, he's like, OJ confronted him, and that was it. He never talked to Tawny Katane ever again.
Wow.
That is a Sports Hole exclusive.
There you go, folks. You heard it here.
You don't see that on Jim's UFL stream.
Ooh, shots fired.
No, you don't. Hey, Matty, I invited you again. But
I gotta get on.
You're just big timing me now. I get it.
No, I feel.
Jim, you want to talk about these games? You guys were kind of chatting about the games.
One was a field goal. One was great because, and I'll let Jim talk about it more. But it was a comeback game where the 4th and 12 actually worked instead of an onside kick, and it was beautiful. And then the team won. And the NFL should really get rid of the onside kick and do this 4th and 12. Jim, take it. It's yours.
So that was that game was fantastic. I believe that might have been the opening game. It was either the Saturday night game or the Saturday day game. It was DC Arlington.
Yeah,
it was
the first
fucking
game.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That one was awesome. This is the first week of a couple blowouts. Like the Panthers blew out the Roughnecks, the Stallions blew out the Showboats. But it capped off where it started and ended with 2 instant classics. Battlehawks Brahmas was amazing. The games have been super fun. They're very competitive, and the viewership, the TV viewership, has actually gone way up than what it was last year.
Do you think that the NFL and college football should bring in no more onside kicks? Let's bring in this rule. It's so much better.
What you could do, like the UFL, you could do onside kicks. You just have to declare them. You could do an onside kick whenever.
Why would you do it?
The only time you can do the 4th and 12 play, Matty, is if you are tied or behind in the 4th quarter.
Well, yeah, that's when you do it anyway.
That's the only time. The only time onside kicks even work anymore is when you just do them surprisingly in the first quarter.
Yeah. I think they said it's like a 1 out of or maybe
it's like 2 or 3% of onside kicks are recovered.
It's nonsense.
The 4th and 12 play through the XFL last year
and it worked.
And USFL last year and the UFL this year, it's like a 30%.
And that's great.
Hit rate, which I think is great.
It makes the game so much more exciting, and the onside kick is so hard to execute.
And a 4th and 12 is not an easy play either.
No, but it's still so much more exciting.
The only sad news that came from this weekend is San Antonio Brahma's star quarterback, who's like leading the league in touchdowns, Chase Garbers. He's out for the season, I believe, with a
Where's he from,
shoulder
Jim?
injury. He played at Cal.
Wow.
He holds like a bunch of records at Cal.
No shit.
AJ McCarron's doing good though, right?
AJ McCarron looks great. I think he's leading in a bunch of other stats. And the Battlehawks offense is fucking stacked. It's got a bunch of it's got, now with Ja'Cory Pearson coming back, it's got the XFL's top 2 receivers from last year on one roster, and just it's loaded.
No Josh Gordon anymore, no.
No, he's smoking pot, having a good time.
Is he officially retired or something?
I think he's officially done.
Okay.
Sad.
But it looks like
massive potential.
We're gonna have to wait a few weeks to see if anyone can take down the Stallions. They're the king of spring right now until further notice.
Ween has 3 Stallion songs. Or no, 5. The Stallion part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
They should play those at the game.
Of, Rocky, the Italian Stallion.
Which is your favorite Stallion, Luke?
I don't have a 3 Stallion. Maybe 3. I don't know.
The first one is so bad. It just goes, goddamn piece of shit. You're fucking with the Stallion.
We had big NFL news today. Maybe you guys heard of this. Applebee's named official bar and grill of the NFL.
Fuck yeah. And they reintroduced 50-cent wings, baby. Let's go. Applebee's on top.
Was Little Caesars last season?
They were the official pizza or whatever of the NFL.
Is there a separate official bar and a separate official grill? Why
would you need it when you have Applebee's? Why? Why even need it?
Well, you have, one division, that's the bar division. You have the grill division, then you have the hybrid. It's like skeet shooting and running in the
What
Olympics.
do you think about it, Luke? Are you happy about this?
I'm thrilled. I think it goes hand in hand. You see today's premier athletes going at it, and then some fat slob can watch it from the comfort of an Applebee's getting hammered.
Is Chili's and Applebee's the same owner? Because a lot of times they are.
Oh, who knows? I don't know.
It seems like the same place, right?
Well, a lot of these places are owned by these mega corporations, like Pizza Yum Yum or whatever it's called.
Yeah, like casinos there's 3 companies that own casinos,
Yeah.
Like MGM, Caesars, and they pretty much own all the casinos. So I feel like they all own. Is TGI Friday still around, or is that?
They're out there. TGI Fridays is out there somewhere.
I haven't seen one.
Ruby Tuesdays is dying though.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
I think Fridays is all done, right?
It's dying. I think there's very few out there.
Will you make a pilgrimage to the last one, Jim?
I used to always get the same thing.
So I don't know if you guys followed me back in 2020 on Twitter or whatnot.
Yeah.
I need to start bringing this back. I tweeted about Applebee's all the time. The XFL Jim lore was that I was banging this waitress at Applebee's while waiting for the XFL games to start.
Fact or fiction?
Sports Hole exclusive fiction.
Fuck.
Sorry, Maddie. Sorry. I had a girlfriend.
Oh, man. You got to protect the kayfabe, Jim.
Well,
Sports Hole exclusive, Luke. Sports Hole exclusive.
Yeah.
You guys are in the special club.
If you were in the Dabbleverse, we'd have to dox your girlfriend.
Well, now it's my ex-girlfriend.
No.
Wait, what?
Since it was 2020, that was my ex-girlfriend.
Not now, though.
Right.
No. Now I have a different.
Still have the same girlfriend.
Yeah, we're gonna have to dox.
I have a different girlfriend that is the girlfriend I've had for the last year now.
I'm gonna put her number behind me and have everybody call her and harass her at work.
I don't even know what she does now. She's probably a psychiatrist or something.
Really?
That's what she was going to school for.
That's cool. She's smart.
She went to Cal, dude. She went to Berkeley.
Now your new lady loves rodeo, right?
Damn right, son.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
So, Maddie, not Chili's and Applebee's, no. Applebee's and IHOP, same owner.
Interesting.
Who's the owner?
It's called Dine Brands.
Okay, and then
located in Pasadena, California.
Interesting.
Chili's and what? Or are they owned by the same owner?
I'm trying to see that now.
Apparently
also Fuzzy's Taco Shop, if that's a
I shouldn't say this, but
it's almost
here's
gross, right?
Here's another Sports Hole exclusive. If I go to Denny's, I will shit like crazy for a week. Like anything I eat, it just.
But IHOP's okay. Or
I haven't been. I haven't been. I'm not a child.
Waffle House okay? Waffle House, Maddie.
I've never been.
Marie goes to Marie Callender. Her
I
sister won't
love
even eat there.
Roscoe's. Roscoe's is very good out here. Roscoe's waffles and chicken is good. I've been there a
Love
few
Roscoe's.
Wait, what is that one that you go to? Marie Callender? Is that it? The one on
Who,
Franklin?
me?
Yeah. What's that
Uh,
sort of Denny's like restaurant we go to?
I like House of Pies. but
House of
that's-
Pies.
House of
Yeah.
Pie fucking slaps so hard.
Dude,
Love
House
House
of
of
Pie.
Pie.
I don't even know if I've had a pie there.
Listen, we had
Oh,
a
it's
bad
good, Luke. It's
situation because
fucking good.
one of our friends passed away. That was really, he was a cool guy. He's a director, and Luke, myself, him, and a couple other guys went to House of Pies a few years ago. The bill was like $100. This dude was day drinking. He goes, I got it. And we're like, no. He's like, no, I got it. So he paid $100. I get a text the next day. He's like, I'm looking at my bank account. I have like $100. I don't remember what happened. And
You got the bill,
I
buddy.
sent him
Thank you.
$30. I felt bad. Pretty funny story though.
It was really funny. We got NBA playoffs
Well,
starting.
before you get to that,
tonight.
Luke,
Oh,
Chili,
sorry.
it's Chili's and Maggiano's Little Italy must be a chain somewhere in the East Coast.
Maggiano's. Okay.
Maggiano's
never
Little
been.
Italy and Chili's have the same owner.
I
That's
see
that's
one
the
at
point right
Spaghetti
there.
Factory, but I've never been there.
Spaghetti Factory. All right, NBA
That's
playoffs
Texas.
Yeah.
going on right now. The playing games.
Mhm.
Whoa,
Lakers are
yeah,
up.
NBA.
Lakers are up by 10.
It'll be good in a couple rounds, I promise.
I think once the
yeah,
actual playoffs start, it'll be fine.
right.
You really don't want to play the Lakers because LeBron is he's old. He's still LeBron. It's like they do this where they
the winner of this
yeah.
game gets the
In.
Nuggets essentially, and
True,
that's
that's
not
gotta
going to
be
be good
hard.
for either of these
No,
teams.
well, the Nuggets will destroy.
I love
A lot
the
of people are
play-in
trying to
idea,
get so
though.
the loser of this game will play the winner of Sacramento and Golden State to then that winner will go to Oklahoma City. And I think any of these teams can possibly beat Oklahoma City because they basically are young, they win a lot of games, they care about the regular season a lot, and they don't have much in the way of veterans at all.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I think OKC is very vulnerable.
I'm gonna pick Golden State to upset OKC. That's gonna be my pick.
Hot.
It's kind of crazy that all these good teams are in the playoff playing games because I still wouldn't want to play these teams.
Yeah, I mean it's weird. Sac's been knocking on the door for a year or so. Golden State, of course, is Golden State, and they've kind of fluctuated at the end of the year here, looking great, looking bad.
Miami made it to the championship last year as a playing team.
The Heat are such a weird team. I feel like they completely flip the script when it's playoff time.
I know.
Well, that's one of the big problems with NBA is people just don't play hard and they don't play defense during the regular season. So
yeah,
it kind of takes away the incentive to watch because you think people are just sandbagging it, which they are.
Well, you also don't know back-to-backs. A lot of these guys don't play, right?
Yes, a lot of the load management, resting and whatnot.
I just can't add so much sports in my life. I'm a Renaissance man. I'll watch football like a motherfucker. But when the playoffs start, I get really into basketball, hockey. So I haven't watched a lot of NBA. I haven't watched a lot of NHL. But I'll watch the first few games and I'll figure it out and I'll start winning some fucking money.
I will say this. I love the opening round, like the first round of the NHL playoffs.
It's great.
It's so fun.
Matt, you got any predictions on that?
Yeah, I'm going to predict Dallas versus Florida, and Dallas holds the cup.
Ugh, that's a matchup I don't want to see. Sounds boring.
Yeah, it's bad for business, but I mean, everybody's high on the Rangers. Everybody's high on the Bruins. The Rangers had a lot of points, but as a Bruin fan last year, they broke the record and they were one and done. And hockey is tough, man. Hockey, the seeds go out of the window. It's probably the sport with the seeds mean the least.
Does any Canadian team have a chance this year?
Vancouver, Toronto. Toronto always chokes. Edmonton is great. They have the best player, Connor McDavid, but they have Swiss cheese D. I think you got to play a lot of D too. Like you got to have a good combination, and they're just like an offensive, a lot of firepower, not a lot of good D. I really don't know though, because I probably
NBA.
watched.
What are your NBA predictions, Maddie?
I want the Celtics versus probably probably be the Nuggets again. Um, I hope the Celtics get over the hump this year. But it's gonna be tough. It's like you got to finish the job, and the West is better.
Dude,
You deal,
the
you know what I mean?
Nuggets are so good. I hate.
Yeah, they just kind
And
of
they can
toy
turn
with
it up.
people. Oh, they will for
Yeah.
sure. But LeBron, if they get past the Pelicans tonight and it goes on into the playoffs, he's got a lot of.
Wait, hold on 1 second. What's up? I can't because I'm doing a podcast. I'm really sorry. I'm breaking my. I can't. I'm doing a podcast. I'm really sorry. I break my nephew's heart because of you guys.
Well, you got to hang a little sign out there called podcasting.
I played basketball against him. He kicked my ass today.
Get one of those radio signs, Maddie, that says on air.
What's
on
that?
air. All right. Get rid of this kid.
He just called me a coward.
Jack's the coward. Trust. He came at you when you knew you couldn't compete. That's the coward. You get out there afterwards and beat his ass.
I go out there, I bust my butt for that kid, so he can play a day without me with his dad.
Here are a few of the accomplishments LeBron James can obtain this season. He's 2 triple doubles away from tying Magic for first in the playoffs for triple doubles. 3 double doubles from tying Shaq for third. He has 5 wins from tying the entire Bulls franchise for 8th.
That's awesome.
7 wins for tying the Pistons for 7th. I think that's nuts. He's 11 wins from tying the Knicks for 6th in playoff wins. It's just he's 11 blocks away from tying Kevin McHale for 9th in the playoff blocks. Do you even think of LeBron when you think of blocking? Like
I just think of the one. I just think of the one
right,
block.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a good player.
He's close to every stat.
Yeah.
I mean, what I like about him most is he was the chosen one. There's a lot of pressure, and he lived up to being the chosen one.
It just doesn't happen like that.
He was probably better than they even expected.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like when you're touted at like 15, I've seen a lot of guys fucking go down and not even have like Felipe Lopez of St. John's supposed to be the next Jordan. No.
There was a guy early on that was supposed to be better than LeBron in LeBron's own class, I believe, too.
Yeah, and he I think he might be dead.
Yeah. See, some of these guys just end up dead.
Speaking of those kinds of guys, though, what do you guys think of Wembanyama?
I think he's fantastic.
Fucking awesome, dude.
I didn't watch a lot of basketball, but I'm sure he's great.
Well, he was, having a rookie season where he would look like shit. Then he would come out and do like 30 points and 20 rebounds, and then the next game would go like 3 for 20.
How did the guy from Alabama do and Charlotte Miller? Did he have a good
came on great. He did. He had a really good season.
Who's going to win?
Might even be the number 2 guy.
Wembanyama's rookie. We can see. I'll look up the stat. The odds real quick, but
Chet, the only thing Wembanyama really will improve is his just field goal percentage. To make his efficient, make him more of an efficient player. Like Chet was very efficient. Chet Holmgren.
And he's considered.
That was very steady through the year. He was more consistent. But Wembanyama, when he played certain games, was just freakish.
His defense would be in I saw there were clips that I would see where players would have a breakaway and he'd be the only guy down there and they would just pass the ball out.
Yeah, his rim protection's nuts. He is as advertised, and sadly though, this team is a crap hole of a team that is going to take several years just to probably make the playoffs.
Maddie,
sorry.
Current rookie of the year odds, Wembanyama is over on DraftKings minus 5,000 to win rookie of the year.
So who are the next 2 competing in that though? It's got to be Chet and Brandon Miller.
Chet is plus 2,200. Everyone else is like 100 to 1.
Okay.
When I was looking at the matchups, Dallas versus Clippers is a very good matchup.
That's great. The
probably the
Clippers are
matchup.
having a really good year.
They just don't do it in the playoffs.
Well, there's sort of, I don't know. They got to keep everyone healthy. That's been an issue with them too. Westbrook's coming off the bench, and that's like kind of a different Westbrook too.
And Giannis is out. Milwaukee's done.
Yeah, Giannis is out. Well, that's just the first round potentially. He might even be able to make it back later in the series too. He's got a calf strain apparently. So we'll see. We'll see. Blake Griffin finally retired today.
I thought he was already retired.
Did he have a good career, or did he have a disappointing career?
I think he had a very good career. He was limited. You know, the game kind of changed from the time he started to the time he ended. You know, like you need to be like a 3-point shooter nowadays. You know? And just being a fucking fantastic athlete. Yeah, he put the Clippers on the map.
I was gonna say, like from my outside point of view, like Blake Griffin was the Clippers.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, they really haven't looked back since they got him, and Chris Paul, Lob City. That was a very exciting team to watch.
Did you think he was a good stand-up comic?
Well, I think you're the one to answer that, Matty. You're the comic around here.
People were getting mad because he was going to comedy clubs out here, taking spots away. I'm like, who gives a fuck?
Right. It's like, okay, let me put on Joe Schmo or Blake Griffin. And nobody thinks, even if Blake Griffin's not funny, people go, oh my God, we saw Blake Griffin. Yeah. Stand up. You know?
This girl tweeted out, she's like, I wish I was like a mediocre basketball player so I could get spots.
Well, he was a good player.
He was
a really good player. He had a lot of great years. It was very exciting. And
I got OJ Blake Griffin story.
Yes.
No, I'm joking.
Oh. Yeah. So, well, happy trails to Blake Griffin.
Hopefully he'll stay in stand-up.
And he played really hard when he got to the Pistons too, even though that was getting a little bit later in his career. He like, even though he only spent like a little time there, they loved him there. He fought hard.
He's a very lucky
And then
guy.
they just gave him a buyout so he could try to go win something with the Nets too. So, you know,
and then the Celtics.
Yeah, well, Celtics, he was I don't
washed.
really remember him. Yeah, he was pretty washed by that point. Other NHL news, the Coyotes are moving to Salt Lake City.
That'll be great. I don't think Phoenix really supported them. I think.
Well, Phoenix basically has the rights to get the next team. They gave the owner 5 years.
Are they going to change the name?
I don't know. I'm not sure. They could keep it. I'm sure there's Coyotes in Utah.
Yeah, I think Coyote.
How about this? Works. The Utah Utes.
Utes.
UTES. Utah Utes.
That gave them a lot of
like the college football team and basketball team.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Maybe the Bears should change their name to the Illini. I don't know.
The Fighting Illini. I love it.
That'd be hilarious.
Well, we'll see. Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen with that, but Phoenix is due up to get another team if the current owner can get. He's got the rights to it. So
it never seemed like they.
Never been to Salt Lake.
As far as
Salt Lake's great. I fucking love Salt Lake City.
Arizona supports their football team for sure, but they're like a playoff city. Like if they make the playoffs, they're in. Like you saw that there was some baseball fever last year.
Yeah.
But they don't really support. You know, there's some cities like win or lose, everybody is there. Like it's just the tradition.
Sure.
Arizona's kind of like, you know.
Well, it takes a while because these people living in a desert are typically not raised on hockey. So once you get a team in there, you have to start a culture. You have to start a youth culture that are
their
playing
fans are great hockey fans.
Nashville too.
Yeah. Yeah, like, but Florida also has a lot of transients that come from northern.
That is true.
Luke's right. You got to get like a culture.
They do have that in Arizona too, but it's a little bit different. Anyways,
you got to get the culture. Like Vegas did a really good job with that.
Well, Vegas, they were winning right away too. That
definitely helps.
You know?
But like the Kraken suck, but they still they're involved with the community and people love them in Seattle.
Yeah,
sure.
It's just Phoenix is not a great sports city.
It's a great
Yeah, it's
drug
hard.
city.
Well, people
Great,
are spending their money on
It's a party
crystal
city.
meth.
Johnny Football lives there and he rages.
good drug city. Good drug city, Phoenix.
A lot of retired athletes live there too,
Mhm.
outside of in Chandler and whatnot.
When Gronk was at University of Arizona, do you think the ladies liked him?
Yes.
I bet he never had sex there.
You don't think so?
I bet he couldn't get a
Are you
date.
kidding me? Gronk's
that-
third string backup was pounding tail there. Are
Yeah.
you fucking.
One time I asked Steven Adler, I met him at a comedy show. I go, do you think I could have gotten girls in the 80s? He goes, everybody could have. Absolutely.
Did he say even you?
He didn't say that, but it was almost like you had to basically cover yourself in feces to maybe not get a girl.
Yeah. It's like I'm like fucking this chick in a dumpster, and I look
Yeah.
over and there's a Corky from Life Goes On
Yeah.
pounding some waitress next to me.
Or it's always the rainbow room. I'm getting a blowjob at the table, and then Ozzy shows up with Lemmy.
But I love the Rainbow Room because it's still open, and
Yeah.
it's still like they have a bar that you can just walk into like in the afternoon, and it's outside, and you still get that collection of fucking oddballs that you're like,
Yeah.
what is going on here?
The
I still
leftover
love the
guys
Rainbow
from the 80s.
Hey, by the way, one note on Salt Lake City, I will say this. You see like these Austin people and stuff like keep Austin weird. Guess what? Salt Lake City is far more weird.
I've heard a lot of weird
The
stuff.
best places
about
for counterculture are places where you're actually rebelling against something. So if
Yes.
people are rebelling against the Church of
Yeah.
Latter-day Saints, that is all over that town.
And
You
they're
get a lot of
fucking-
a weird, great contingent. We had that in Grand Rapids, Michigan, against the Dutch Reform, the DeVos and
bet.
Van Andel type people. Anywhere you get a real conservative crowd is where you're going to get fun weirdos
The
too.
quote-
Count-
Listen,
So I go there every once in a while. Like
Yeah.
in some respects, Omaha's a little like that too, because Nebraska's like super conservative.
quote
Oh,
the
yeah.
band that's saying
Omaha is a little weird. Like
Okay,
they
I
get-
can
the
see
band
that.
that's saying Asian girls. I don't know what their name is. Maybe you know Luke. But in Salt Lake City, they're butt fucking all the time.
Wait, they're from Salt Lake City?
No,
I
they're
thought you
from,
said they're from
St. Louis.
Yeah.
But in Salt Lake City, like the song says, butt fucking all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
I think
That's Salt
Bob
Lake
Dylan had that in one of his songs.
I think
He
so.
did. It was
Yeah.
scratched though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
WNBA draft.
Yeah, I
had
put that
that.
in. Kayla Clark, #1 pick. Angel
So,
Reese, #3, I think.
She's what is it, the Indiana Fever?
The Fever.
well, she's about to change things too because where the fuck did that go?
Yeah, they had the numbers of what she was making. It's like 50,
Yeah.
60 thou a year, 70 thou maybe.
The number one NBA pick last year, which was Wembanyama, his contract was for $55 million for 4 years, and Caitlin Clark's is like $338,000
Four.
over 4 years. And people
Well,
are like
look,
upset
don't
about the
get-
pay gap, but I mean
It's all
that's
about the
in their
ratings.
contract.
When the
So
ratings go up, I'm sure they'll
Yeah, I
redo
mean,
the
if the
contract.
ratings go up, I assume they renegotiate.
So let's
and, like,
hope the
redo it.
ratings go up. And all those girls that bitched about Caitlin Clark, when she brings the ratings up and there's more money to be made, don't take that money.
Where did Reese go? Did she go to Chicago?
She's a nice lady. She said something very nice about the Iowa Center. She's like, she's a beautiful girl. I thought that was very sweet.
Angel. Well, she's an angel.
Yeah.
Yeah, she went to Chicago. She went to the Sky.
It's
We'll
it's
see
kind of funny
we'll
seeing
see
all
the
those
Caitlin
like
Clark
6'8"
effect.
women in these dresses, though.
She has to do good
Pretty
though.
Luke,
because
Yes,
I fucking love it.
I know. I'm like, this is Jim's.
I know
gimmick.
I'm an old-
fucking love it.
Listen, I know I'm an old man, but like there is an appeal. Like that girl in UConn. Oh my lord. She got drafted. She's like from Europe. Her name is like Mika something. I'm probably getting her name wrong, but holy moly. And then the girl that keeps transferring, the blonde at LSU. I mean, I'm a dude. What am I supposed to do?
So this was the most watched draft in WNBA history by a milestone.
Exactly.
By a long shot. Do you think so? The opening preseason game, May 3rd, is the Fever versus the Wings. Do you think that will like easily be the most watched WNBA preseason game? Because it'll be
Yes.
Caitlin Clark's first WNBA game in the
Yeah.
preseason.
And you girls I'll say it again. You bash her, don't take the pay raise.
Maddie, do you see yourself watching some regular season WNBA games now?
If Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and a couple of these other girls that I'm familiar with, they play hard, so sure. I mean,
So-
I never thought I would go to these places. What? I'm going to these places.
No, this is like definitely where college has set up the WNBA, put them in a really good position
Yeah.
because it's helped push these stories. And stories are one of the main factors in any sport, but
And
let
that's what
alone
sports
for,
is.
yeah.
So when
Yeah.
do the NBA playoffs end?
Probably July.
Yeah,
go
usually like the
forever.
first week of July, I think.
Okay, so they'll have a stretch between like July 6th, whatever, and then the end of July before the NFL
Yeah.
preseason.
The other thing
starts.
too is like if
And, like
Caitlin Clark
they're
does
really the only
well,
sport going on besides baseball.
if Caitlin Clark does well, they will come. It's like if you build it, they will come. So she's doing what she did at Iowa. I mean, she's not going to be that good because the competition is going to be better. But if she is the real deal in the pros, you build it, they will come, and it'll be fun with her versus Angel Reese. It'll be fun for her versus the girl from South Carolina, 6'7". There's like, I'd like to see her against some of these old women who have bashed her. I want her to fucking just tear it up against these. I don't know. I don't know why people it's like, it's so common now to hate on people that are good at something. And Caitlin Clark is not an asshole. She's
Well,
really not.
I think unfortunately everybody just of course, like anything nowadays, people are trying to stick out. So bashing Caitlin Clark is a way to do that. And for the most part, these people are um, uh, very much a minority. Everyone,
Yeah.
most people,
But they
love
have
her and
big
respect her.
voices.
They do have voices, but that's how they get these voices, by saying
I mean,
shit
look,
that pisses people off.
I'm an asshole. I bashed a lot of T Swift and Travis Kelsey, and I'm sure like they're doing the best they can, and they're talented people and much more talented than I could ever be. And I'm sitting here scratching my nuts on the sports hole, giving
What do you
them
mean?
grief. And it's
People
like,
would kill to be in your position, Manny.
yeah. I mean, T Swift is not a bad. I mean, she does a lot for a lot of people. She was annoying this year, though. I will say that.
Well, go ahead, Jim.
I was gonna say it wasn't like that was more on ESPN and fucking sports media being super annoying.
Yeah.
What if she started dating somebody in the UFL? That'd be awesome.
I'd be about it, Matty.
So, Maddie, you'll love this one. So the Olympic uniforms for the women's track and field.
Oh, I
Some
saw
people
that.
are calling them sexist.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're sexist as much as just not practical.
Dude, sex sells. It's a shitty world.
Trust, yes, of course. Every athlete, particularly women, if they are good looking, there's good looking women athletes that are not even the top of their game that
Yeah.
profit.
I mean, let's be honest. Like, Caitlin Clark is not exactly, a gorgeous woman, but she's a pretty, and some of these other girls are beautiful, and
sure,
you like watching beautiful people, just like.
Well, the problem with
Yeah.
these Olympic uniforms is that their labia could be exposed at any moment.
And
It's
what's the
actually
problem with
insane.
that?
Yeah. What's that?
What's the problem with that?
I don't know. Did you ever want to see one of Carl Lewis's nuts hanging out?
I mean, if it happens, it happens.
Just he's running so hard, his nut.
Yeah, I saw the uniforms. It's a little weird because I saw a girl complaining about it because the men's are like very typical and the women's is like a little leotard thing.
Well, the problem is it's cut like real thin.
Yeah.
Around the private parts there,
Yeah.
and then it goes up thin too. So it would even be sort of risque as a bikini, I think.
No, I know. I used to date a girl who used to wear those one-piece things. And let me tell you, when you get to the prize, it's a lot of fun. So there's always a reason.
All right, creeper.
Hey, it was a consensual relationship.
This is an athlete, not your fucking girlfriend trying to give you a boner.
I plead the fifth. Let's dox Jim's girlfriend.
You're never going to see her,
You
Maddie.
wanted to talk about some of the early MLB and the injuries going on?
I was just going to say this. I'm watching. I can't really get a gist of the season because it's way too early. some of the teams, the Astros have started slow, which is kind of a surprise. But there's a lot of Spencer Strider is a big time pitcher for the Braves. He's a hard thrower. He's out for the year with a UCL, whatever that is, tear. And a lot of people are complaining that the pitch clock is hurting these pitchers because they have to throw a lot of pitches. Like they're not resting their arm. They have to pitch every 10 seconds. And they're complaining about that. I just don't know, because why was it 100 years ago these guys pitched every day and threw 200 pitches and nobody was hurt? And nowadays, with all the technology, the arms are weaker than ever. I don't understand.
I don't know. I think I don't know. I think the problem might be they're almost too strong for their own good. Like there's so much torque in what they're doing that it's just not meant for humans to be doing that. Same with like a golfer, say, take Tiger Woods, why his back is all fucked up because he just swings so hard that,
But they
athletes
threw
didn't used to
100 years
lift
ago.
weights either.
Why were these guys throwing pitches 200, like 100 years
I don't know.
ago?
I'd be curious to see a deep dive on this if somebody can really give some more concrete evidence as to what's going on and why it's going on. And
I mean, they were throwing curveballs back in the day, right?
Well, yeah, but even the curveball, but if you threw your arm out back in the day, you were just done too. Don't forget that there was no Tommy Johns back.
For the most part, they threw 180 pitches. They pitched
but like
every
how
other
fast
day.
were these pitches? Has pitch speed gone up through the years?
Probably a little, but not enough that there's thousands of injuries.
Yeah, but even if it's a couple more miles an hour, that's more torque from the body,
Well, then they interviewed a bunch of pitchers and coaches, and they all had different answers. They're all like the pitch clock, that the curveball.
But these injuries were happening before the pitch clock, though, right?
Yeah, but they're more than ever, and they're blaming the pitch clock. I'm just a messenger here. I don't understand it.
Rebel.
You would need a scientist to really figure this shit out.
No, well, let's. That's your assignment for next week, Maddie. Deep dive and see if you can get to the bottom of this, even if you just find somebody else's one very thorough.
I'm still trying to figure out who the Zodiac killer is.
Well, we'll get to that. Come on, man. Wrap it up. It's been long enough. We've had a big movie about it. Finally, in the regular sports world, college football portal season's going on, and
it just started. Didn't it just open today?
Deion Sanders is going through a big turnover once again. Not as crazy as last year's, where he had like 86 new players or something, but it is a lot of linemen. Granted, he didn't have a great line last year, but the ones he did are basically moving on, and they're getting new.
We coming, as he says.
Yeah, so but it's hard for linemen. Really need chemistry too, so that's a problem.
He said exactly what Danny Hurley said. Danny Hurley lost a few years ago, and he said, "Get us now." And Deion said that last year. He goes, "You're gonna get us now, because it's gonna change." So I still believe in him. I don't really like that his sons can only play for certain teams. I don't know, like, cut the diva shit. Just play.
I'm not
good.
buying that shit. This guy has to prove he can even lead a team to a winning season. So
well, like to say, like, my sons are gonna only play for 6 teams. Come on, you go where you're drafted. It's the NFL.
Yeah, no, trust me, he's just talking shit. Right? They'll change their tunes.
The official number for him is 25 in, 25 out right now.
That's
for Colorado.
And Bill Goldberg's son is committed for freshman.
Oh, Matty
excited
Goldberg?
to see that. Who's next? The wrestler.
Yeah, what's his son's name? Is it
Gage.
Matty?
No, Gage. I follow Bill on Instagram.
Is his son a linebacker?
Yeah, he's a very good baseball player too.
Oh.
But I guess he's gonna play football. He committed to Duke, and then he left Duke, and now he's gonna walk on at Colorado. So he's a walk on, but hopefully he'll do the Goldbergs proud.
All right, guys, let's do it. Dark Side of the Ring. This week's episode, Chris Colt. That's right. You've never heard of him. But very, very interesting life. Maddie, what'd you think of this one?
I loved it because I didn't know anything about him, so I'm learning everything. And he just seemed like a badass. He was way ahead of his time. He kind of was like Alice Cooper meets punk rock meets the Rocky Horror Picture Show as a bad guy. I would, if I was a kid, I would have been terrified of him. He's a
Yeah.
villain. But it seemed like out of the ring, he had a very soft side with his family, but he was, he lived the wrestling life.
Yeah. Total maniac. Jim?
I mean, he was very flamboyant, to say the fucking least.
Yeah.
I had no idea what to think about this guy. And with how little I've heard of him, he's lived a fucking like movie / TV show of a life.
Yeah.
They could
which is
definitely do a
crazy.
movie about him.
Totally nuts. Insane. I mean, everything from a, you know, ahead of his time heel to ahead of his time gay icon. Just unreal. So we'll take you through a story right now. He came from a dysfunctional home, a complete maniac of a dad who beat up his mom and would shoot at their family as
That
well.
seems very common at Dark Side of the Rings.
Yes, abusive dads.
Buff Bagwell's dad.
Buff Bagwell. There were some similarities to Buff Bagwell in this one. It's not.
Sure.
It's like he was like the dirty version of Buff Bagwell,
Yeah.
like the real dirty version.
Dirty.
Got kicked out of. He joined the wrestling team in school and wanted to be a heel on his regular, his amateur wrestling.
I love that.
team, and he bleached his hair. Gets kicked off the team and gets kicked out of school just for bleaching his hair back then. So I don't know. I guess that was like
it was a different time.
Different times for sure. Gets kicked out of school, moves to Chicago to enroll at a wrestling school, and ends up prostituting himself to men to survive. He had known he had bisexual thoughts. And he met another kid that was prostituting himself. And he's like, I've always thought of men more, so maybe I can just do this. And he starts prostituting himself to men to make ends meet. And then when he finally became a wrestler, he chose the name Chris Colt because Colt was the name of a very big underground gay men's magazine.
I have a subscription.
You do? How long have you had it for?
30 years.
Wow, you're loyal. Do you get
Yeah.
Colt points? Do you get things for being a member for so long?
Well, do you think Colt Cabana named himself after that too?
What?
There's a wrestler named Colt Cabana.
Really? That's funny because there's a Michigan running back named Cole Cabana.
And then there's alcohol Colt 45.
I don't know. I didn't know about Colt Cabana.
Yeah, Billy D. Williams.
Well, Colt 45, I definitely fucking know.
Everyone knows Colt 45.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
And then there's a quarterback, Colt McCoy. Do you think he was turning tricks too?
Definitely.
At University of Texas?
Oh, definitely. You know what they say about Texas.
Yeah.
Anyways. So he's working the territory scene, and he's in and out of territories because he just can't get along with everybody. He's always fighting with other wrestlers and whatnot. Finally teams up with a guy named Ron Dupree, and they become lovers. And this was kind of a sweet side to this story because he really loved this dude.
This could be a movie.
A little bit old. This I will say this story, and maybe this story would be the most I'd want to see on a big screen.
Yeah. I would love it.
Yeah, and I think it would check a lot of boxes. I think it would be a great story. Hopefully there's a way to do that at some point.
The Iron Claw was a hit. They're going to do more of these.
Right. But this this is something that I think even hits more on different sociological levels. So Ron Dupree is sort of his mentor and lover. And at one point they were doing a Hell's Angels gimmick, dressed as bikers. This is what Jim Cornette had to say about that one.
They say, okay, they're bikers. No, they're gay. Same tailor.
That's true. Sometimes machoism goes right to the end.
You know,
just
Cornette's the
becoming,
type of guy that like
homosexual.
he supports gay rights, but then he'll
Yeah.
say something like super homophobic, but he's trying to help.
Yeah, no, he's an old school guy. That's how a lot of
Yeah.
old school guys are. Even if they aren't particularly bigoted, they will say things that make them sound that way in today's
Yep.
They
parlance.
think they're helping the cause, but then they say like the most inappropriate things.
At one point, he burned an American flag on TV, and this was at a time you just do not do shit like that. Not only did he get kicked off TV, but the whole promotion got kicked off TV.
Way before Colin Kaepernick.
I mean, Colin Kaepernick, nothing compared to this guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if Colin Kaepernick would have burned an American flag on the sidelines during the national anthem. What's that?
Dyed his hair blonde.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Started dating Michael Crabtree.
Oh, that's the ending we wanted to see.
Yeah,
that for sure. Unfortunately, Ron has a heart attack, and then he starts a new tag team. He still maintains his relationship with Ron, but he starts a new tag team with a guy named Mike Boyette, who also sounds like a crazy guy and sounds possibly worthy of his own Dark Side episode, and a guy named Bill Anderson. And this was great because Bill Anderson looks like the cop. He looks like Lieutenant Friday from Dragnet. He's just got this army crew cut and looks like the most wholesome Midwest kind of
not
dude.
Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, well, Dan Aykroyd played the nephew, but if the original, Mr. Webb, that's what he looked like, Jack Webb. So this was and during an episode, he takes LSD before a match. Here's Cornette talking about that.
One time, he gets booked in a cage match. What's a cage match for? It's to keep the wrestlers in, right? They tell the fans, no way in, no way out. We're going to settle this. But they didn't count on Chris Colt taking LSD before he got in the cage.
So that's the beginning. He had this cage match where he's taking LSD. But then, I've taken a lot of LSD, and I've never seen this shit.
But now the match is going on. There's people watching it. Everything's normal, and suddenly, Chris Colt, he starts imagining that there are giant spiders coming over the cage to get him. And you've got to think, what in the world would that be like? You're almost naked in spandex in a ring surrounded by a cage with thousands of people looking at you. And suddenly, the giant spiders arrive.
The giant spiders.
So he basically busts out of the ring, and he's so afraid of these spiders. Then he starts punching random people in the crowd and just getting beer bottles thrown at him. I mean, you got to imagine this is some real redneck territory he's in too. Yeah. So then his wholesome looking partner, Bill Anderson, was talking about it, because this Bill Anderson's like 18 and this is his first partner.
And here I am, 18. I drank maybe 2 beers in my entire life, wanting to be a pro wrestler. That's all I cared about. And there's my partner, a bloody mess, drugged out of his mind, beaten up out of his mind. And that's my new partner to start my career.
Yeah, so this was just one of a few episodes.
Crash course in wrestling.
Yeah, welcome, pal. You're in now.
You might as well start at the craziest, so everything else is. I mean, I'm sure nothing was as crazy as that, and he probably had a long wrestling career.
Yeah. So this guy, Mike Boyette, they were basically a trio. He was as notorious as Chris. And one night they are traveling to a show or from a show, and Chris is sitting in the back seat, and he's all high and fucked up again. He starts punching Bill, who's driving, in the back of the head. Just starts pounding on him. Then he starts pounding on Chris, and Chris is like, pull over. Or, I mean, he starts pounding on Mike. Mike's like, pull over. They pull over. And Mike apparently was like a world champion judoka. and just a real life badass. He chokes Chris out, and then he has Bill back the car up an eighth of a mile, and then makes him drive right at Chris while Chris is passed out in the middle of the road. Eventually, Bill grabs the wheel and gets out of the way at the last second, but they just leave Chris basically in the middle of the road, passed out too, and continue on. Needless to say, Chris ditch Mike, and then Bill basically kept Bill as his partner, but then just kept getting drunk again, and Bill finally ditched Chris towards the end. Later on, Chris's lover, Ron, dies of a heart attack, and Chris was by his side. This was very fucking sad.
Who would play his lover in the movie?
I could see The Rock.
Who would play Chris in the movie?
I feel like Rock is destined to play gay in a movie.
Who would play Chris in the movie?
Chris, actually, maybe that would be a good role for Jesse Plemons.
What about roughing up Ryan Gosling, making him like weird looking? He's kind of blonde. He kind of looks like him. Would grow a beard.
I think, he's got the chops for it.
Yeah.
But I think you do need much more of a character actor.
Or even Leo.
Leo would never fucking
Leo would never do it.
Never do it.
It would be such a beautiful stretch.
No, I don't know, because the problem is it's young. Most great actors like that are a little older, unfortunately. It might be some guy we've never heard of. Too.
What about Leo playing the Sandman?
I bet Leo would crush it. He would get on some fucking Metrex and beef up, and
No, you just have to get fat. The Sandman has no muscle.
Oh yeah, Leo's getting kind of fat anyways. So anyway, so later on he becomes the Chris Colt Experience, and then this is where he really starts to go full flamboyant. He was even in Gory, and he's banned in England from being on TV because he was too scary for people.
Yeah.
Then, of course, he starts running through the territories again and being very unpredictable. At one stop, he was Chris Von Colt. And he starts wearing swastikas and things like that and doing a Heil Hitler type salute.
Yeah.
Do you think this is where the Von Erichs stole this from?
I think what happened is punk rock was coming in and they used swastikas, and like, as a Jewish person, it never really bothered me because it was just more of a thing to shock people. So I think it was like the idea of what is the most shocking thing as a swastika or an SS. And it was very chic in like 77, 78. So it's part of the garb. And I just see him as like this punk rock wrestler, he's going to be the most shocking guy. He's going to be the craziest villain you'll ever see.
Yeah. Well, it worked, and unfortunately, he was basically on his way out of wrestling at this time.
Yeah.
And he starts getting a very bad amphetamine habit, going from coke to meth, and, staying up like 6 days on end, not sleeping at all. Gets to a point where he needs to find a way to support his habit, so he gets a fake badge. And when he's going to do drug deals at these drug homes, he flashes the badge, tells everybody they're under arrest, grabs the fucking meth, and runs out. But wait, it gets lower. So then he starts doing porn, essentially, starring in leather queer solo porn. This was very interesting.
Have you seen any of those films?
Not only the clips that were shown in there.
Yeah. I always love Norm Macdonald's joke about gay porn.
What's that?
He's like, I saw gay porn. I didn't like it. I think they're all terrible. I've seen 50 of them and they're all the same.
Yeah, a lot of Norm Macdonald this week with OJ's death, and all the clips of him, hours of him just bagging on OJ.
You're a murderer.
Yeah. Hey, what are you doing with that cap on? That's my lucky stabbing cap.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the director, I forget his name, of a lot of these films, was breaking this down.
Pro wrestling has always been softcore porn for gay men. And
That's right, dudes. All this wrestling you've
Yeah,
been consuming.
there is a point to that because my parents used to always say that, and there used to be these thumb wrestlers. Remember you stick your thumb in their butt.
Oh,
My
I don't
dad
remember in
used
the
to always
butt.
be like, you're sticking your thumb in these wrestlers' asshole. He's
I
like,
don't
what do
remember
why do you
that.
like
Who
this
was
stuff?
doing that?
I'll send you a commercial for it was WWF. They were thumb wrestlers.
Oh, thumb wrestling.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought you meant they were just shoving the. Oh,
No.
I thought you meant in the ring they were shoving
No,
the
but when you
thumbs up their
play with
butts.
it, you put your thumb in their butts.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I get that. So yeah, these movies, of course, were getting lower and lower. One thing I glossed over because they kind of told the story. They kind of played with the timeline in the beginning. He was like a big. He was really into rock and roll. He was actually a roadie for Janis Joplin and a friend of Janis Joplin.
Yeah.
And he was a bodyguard for Joe Cocker too. How
He
fucking
lived an
bizarre is
interesting
that?
life, that's for sure.
Very interesting life. He always wanted to go
Yeah.
to San Francisco and went there and did the whole Haight Ashbury thing.
Sure.
And
Me too.
you would rather die than do that. Let's see. Here's a clip from one of his films, though.
Oh, I can't wait.
You want a wrestler, Dick? A real man, a professional wrestler, Dick? I am the king of wrestling.
he said,
You want a
That was good. That's a good line,
Jim, is that how you talk to your old lady?
especially with the slapping sound effects.
I think
Yes.
the best two movies could be Herb Abrams, which I want to play, and
Yes.
then this guy.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to see Herb Abrams one as well.
You think I could play him?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mr. Excitement.
Would you leave your house though, Mandy?
Do you think you get camera shy, Maddie?
Mr. Electricity. I can't wait to do the naked scenes with the hookers. And this is my
Herb
scene.
Abrams,
This is my-
NC-17.
This is my scene with Cactus Jack, Mankind. Hey, Mick, come in here. I gotta show you something. Look at these ostrich boots. When I'm on TV tomorrow, everybody's gonna notice how cool my UWH or UHF ostrich boots are. They're gonna talk about me forever. Vince McMahon, eat your fucking heart out.
Wow. The Academy race has just tightened. It's become a one-man show. That's it. It's over. Sadly, though, Mr. Chris Colt died of basically a combination of HIV and his addiction issues, and it took him 2 days to find him. This was in Seattle too, so also a very rock and roll Lane Staley type thing to do.
He lived a life.
He lived a fucking life. He made it to 50, almost 50 too. So
That's pretty impressive.
that is very impressive. God.
And I never heard of him, but it's a great story. And he's, I think like if somebody told him, like, hey, guess what? There's an hour program about you. I don't think he would ever believe it.
No. I mean,
probably
this
not.
movie's, I mean, a movie about him would be essentially The Wrestler combined with autofocus,
Yeah.
combined with, Walk the Line or some other more, The
I think
Doors
they
or
should
something.
do a Dark Side of the Ring about the wrestler because a lot of wrestlers hate that movie and a lot of wrestlers
Yeah.
love that movie. And I remember when it came out, a lot of people were like mad about it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know. What were the big complaints the wrestlers? I mean, watching Dark Side of the Rings and then watching The Wrestler, it tracks for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maddie, what are the issues people take with it?
I think they thought it would be like a fun movie or something. They didn't know how dark it was and how sad and
Oh.
depressing. And then I forget what Cornette trashed it, which I was surprised. Sorry.
Yeah, one
No.
thing too about those Chris Colt videos is funny. If you ever watch Eastbound and Down, they look like the Kenny Powers workout videos.
Yeah.
but then just yelling at guys and threatening to beat them and fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty idyllic. All right, guys, anything you want to add for this episode or
No, I
this
gotta
week?
run to do a show, but I love you boys, and
I got nothing.
All right. Well, you
I'll
boys
see you
have a
guys
great
really
week.
soon.
I'll see y'all on the dark side.
Later, boys.
Later for now.
Love you.